my bookish besties, and welcome back to my channel for another video. It has been a while since you've last seen me. I have been working on a couple of reading vlogs for series and stuff like that, so it's taken me a little bit. I am putting the ACOTAR one on hold. Maybe I'll bring it back in like August or something like that. I just haven't been in the mood for romantasy lately, which is so odd and so weird. And maybe it's just like the long form, like the whole like 5-book series. But I did read the first 5 in the DC Star series by Chelsea Curto, and that is vlogged. But since the 6th book comes out next month, I will be waiting to post that until I get the 6th book and read that one. Hi, this is editing me. I will actually be editing that and posting that soon because the 6th book in the DC Star series release date has been pushed back a couple months. So I know it's getting released in like a couple of weeks because it's now July. Hi, sorry, this is from my March and April reading wrap up, but I just decided that I will edit it and post it, so expect that to come sometime soon. Just for the sake of, since it's so close, because I just finished the last book in the beginning of May. So yeah, it just seemed silly to like edit that and post that even though the 6th book was so close to coming out. But I will post that vlog before the 7th book comes out, and then the 7th book will probably be in another reading vlog later this year. Just some updates for you. So grab your coffee or your matcha or your water, hydrate please, and let's get into our March and April reading wrap up. As you can see, I have this giant stack of books. Oh no. Okay, there we go. As you can see, I have this giant stack of books, and these are all of the books that I read in March, okay? It was my biggest reading month yet. I was going through them, and I'm so proud of myself, I have to say. I just realized I stacked these in reverse order, so I had to like restack them. But I started with a poetry book. This is the last time I'll write about you by Dawn Lanuza. I rated it like a 3-star, okay? It was a quick read. I read it in like one day. And also this book was gifted to me by someone who is actually no longer in my life. So like some of these definitely gave me closure, which was so interesting to see. But yeah, I really did enjoy this one. Just, you know, nothing crazy. It is nice to have, and I'm sure I'll like pick it up every once in a while and be like, wow, you know? All right, so the next book that I read in March was Reminders of Him by Colleen Hoover. I was going to see the movie with my bestie Kat. You've seen her in a vlog or 2, don't remember. But I gave it 3.25 stars. I thought it was okay. I didn't really like the insta-lust in the situation because she finds out his name, she finds out who she is, and then she still almost sleeps with him, which is really weird. Sorry for the spoiler if you haven't read it. But I think that this topic is very nuanced, and it's very important to talk about kind of like, not redemption stories, but the fact that like a mistake can ruin someone's life, even if it's like no actual representation of who they really are deep down, and how you don't know the full story of someone, if that makes sense. About Kenna, who just got released from prison for after 5 years for accidentally killing her boyfriend in a drunk driving accident, and his parents are in custody of her daughter, and so she's returning to the town where this happened in hopes to reconnect with them so that she can be in her daughter's life, and she ends up falling for her boyfriend's, or her late boyfriend's, best friend. So I mean, it's definitely a nuanced topic, definitely it was definitely entertaining for sure, and I really liked the forgiveness scene and stuff like that, like her rebuilding her relationship with his parents and stuff like that. But yeah, I rated it 3.25, and I also read it in a day, I think, around something like that. Okay, on to the next one. This one is Slapshot Surprise by Melanie Harlow. What did I give this one? I think I also gave this one a 3-star. So this one has like hockey romance and unexpected pregnancy trope, which can be done so right and so wrong, I have to admit. I think for me, I sometimes gravitate towards these stories because, I don't know if this is like TMI, but like I'm the accidental pregnancy trope like in human form. So like my parents didn't really intend to have me, so like seeing characters go through this situation is very intriguing to me, I guess, because like my parents went through it. But this one follows, who does it follow? Okay, hold on. It's been so long, I'm trying to remember like the main character's name. You know what I mean? Huh. One moment. Mabel, that's her name. Okay, so it follows Mabel, and she's on a flight to her best friend's wedding, I think, or her brother's wedding. Her brother's wedding? Yeah, something like that. She's attending a wedding, essentially, and she ends up sitting next to this hockey player on the flight. She doesn't know who he is at the time, but there's some turbulence. She thinks she's gonna die. She's revealed that she's never had good schmacks in her life, and, you know, all of that stuff. And so they end up having like a one-night stand situation, and then they end up becoming pregnant. Well, she ends up becoming pregnant with his baby. I will say that I really did like how this was handled because it felt like two mature adults were handling it. Do you know what I mean? In so many instances, there can be miscommunication and immaturity, but I felt like that they didn't mean for this to happen, but then they became friends after the fact, and then they became romantic after becoming friends and developing this relationship to do around being parents together. Like, they were originally just going to co-parent, and then they decided to, you know, get into a relationship because, you know, they were falling for each other. But yeah, I did definitely think that this was cute, this was sweet. Nothing crazy once again, but I did enjoy reading it, and it was, I think, I also read it in a day. Like, I just, like, flew through it. It was wild. All right, you guys. The Correspondent. Now, this is one of my anticipated reads of this year. This is by Virginia Evans, and this was actually my first 5-star of the year. I thought it was nuanced, it was human, I liked the letter format. I really love the audiobook, so if you are reading this book, I do recommend the audio, or I recommend immersive reading it. I think immersive reading it is also really good. Because the audiobook has each of the characters in this book and each of the letters they write in different voices, which I feel like is not always customary when it comes to books like this. And so I really did enjoy it. I loved immersive reading it. I loved going through Sybil's life with her as she was like almost like rediscovering herself, changing and growing, even at like, not in old age, but like in the age of like her 70s and stuff like that. Like, she was changing, she was being challenged, her beliefs were being challenged, and it was hard for her, and it was scary, and it was, you know, she's a sort of like really, she runs like a tight ship, if that makes sense. Like, when you are first reading her, you don't really feel close to her, you feel like she's kind of cold, kind of closed off, but then you realize it's kind of just how she grew up, and then she realizes like all of these things about herself. She's falling in love, she's you know, experiencing things, and I think it kind of reminds you that you're never too old to do better. And not to say that she was doing bad before, but like, she is allowing for that change to manifest in her. And I think that that's a beautiful thing. And I think that the connection that she had with her family and the ways that it was challenged and the things that she went through were very intriguing and human and just beautiful. I really did enjoy this book. And if you are a fan of like literary fiction and stuff like that, I feel like you would also really like it. So yeah, my first 5-star of the year. Yippee. And I've already borrowed her to someone, so if that says anything. All right, hold on, quick coffee sip. I wish this wasn't Alani. I really do. Anywho, moving on. All right, the next book in March was Just Friends by Haley Pham. So this was her debut novel, another anticipated read for me this year, and I buddy read it with my cousin because she also ended up buying it. And this book holds a special place in my heart because A, I followed Haley for so long. B, it also brought me and my cousin kind of like closer again. We text a lot more often now. We grew up kind of like as siblings. She's 3 years younger than me, so I just love her so dearly, and like sending voice memos back and forth and talking about this book really brought us close together, and like it was just a really beautiful experience reading this book alongside her. I will say that there were parts of it that I really, really liked, and there were parts of it that I really, really hated. Okay, wait. Hated is a strong word because I don't think I hated anything. That I maybe frustrated me or that I disliked. So let me amend that because I don't want to say I hated any part of this book because I still really enjoyed it and I gave it a 3.5 star. I just thought that there was a lot of emotional immaturity for people who were like graduated from college. You know what I mean? Like, I am 22. I'm turning 23 this month, next week actually. And I just felt like I would have not reacted this way, but then again, I have to like picture in my head that everybody has a different emotional background and emotional intelligence and maturity. So maybe the reason I don't react that way is because of like things that I went through or like stuff like that. I just think I didn't like their communication style. I didn't like their romance at first. I thought it was cute. I can't wait to see how Haley grows in her second novel that I know that she's writing right now, because I liked the writing style. I also sometimes didn't like sometimes the descriptions were redundant. I'm not here to yuck on anyone's yum because I feel like I'm not here to criticize. Like, I would recommend this book to people. I would, because if you like these things, you like it. I liked it. I'm gonna keep this book because I'm proud of Haley and I'm proud that this is hers and that she released it and stuff like that. Was it my favorite? No. But I do think overall, I really liked the literary fiction parts of it. I really liked the representation of grief because I felt like it was very real because it's not linear. It's almost cyclical where it comes back in waves and rushes and, you know, sometimes it compresses on you and you can't breathe. So like that representation of grief in this book was so beautiful to me, and the way that she wrote it was really genuine. Some of the like romance aspects were a bit much for me at times, but overall very cute, very sweet. I like that they reconnect. Oh my gosh, I remember being so frustrated by what broke them apart in the first place because I was like, are you joking? Are you joking? But, I mean, I guess, like, wild, you know? Anywho, yes, I rated it 3.5 stars. I still enjoyed it, and I'm really proud of Haley, and I can't wait to see what she does next. Up next was Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. I also read this because the movie came out in March, and then I went to see it like the Friday after I finished it. Movie was so good. Book was so good. I rated it a 4.25 stars because sci-fi is usually kind of out of my comfort zone. I'm not, like, I love science, but I don't have that like math, science, physics sort of brain, if that makes sense. But I feel like the comedy broke it up really well, and it was really well explained so that I never got lost in the science. I loved Rocky. Rocky makes me like, he's so sweet. And I also loved the audiobook for this one. It's actually, I think you saw it in a vlog. I was listening to it on Spotify and it ended up being in German, so I had to get it on Audible, but still very, very worth it. I like that there's like the robot voice and it differentiates, because then when I was reading it on my own, it differentiated in my head like how Rocky sounded versus how Ryland sounded. And also, when in the audiobook, when we don't have like the language and communication that they end up having towards the middle and end of the book, we as if I'm a part of the audiobook team, the audiobook also played the music notes, which I thought was interesting to start out with. But yeah, I really do like this one. I recommend this for sci-fi lovers and non-sci-fi lovers. I think that it's also just really good, and I don't know, like it was amazing. Like, it was so cool. It was so cool. to also hear about like all the missions and like the connections, and also the idea that Ryland doesn't have his memories, so then as he's getting the as he's getting them back, like he's realizing more and more about himself and who he was before, because he doesn't really quite remember. But yeah, I also really recommend this one. This was a 4.25. Honestly, overall, I feel like, you know, March was a really good reading month. And April. They were both really good reading months for me. Sorry, I had to take a quick stretch break. Now I'm dizzy. Hold on. Okay. The next book that I read was A 40-Year Kiss, my bad, by Nicholas Butler. I read this and I was intrigued by this because I saw it in a Sarah Caroli video. Also, the author is from Wisconsin, which is where I currently live and am from, like born and raised. So I was very intrigued to see it, especially considering it takes place in Wisconsin, which like it takes place in somewhere that I kind of like know and have been. So it was very interesting to see places that I've been in, like, and in the sense of like, I'm from here. I'm not like, oh, I visited there. Do you know what I mean? I gave it a 2.75. Okay, so I really liked the literary fiction part of this book because it dealt with like addiction and family trauma and stuff like that, in the sense of like secrets and running from your past and then being like affronted with it again much later as an adult. I did not like the romance, however. So this is about a couple who, were married for 4 years and then divorced. And then this is like 40 years later. So they were married in their 20s for 4 years and then they got divorced. And then 40 years later, while they're in their 60s, I believe, or like early 70s, I think 60s, they reconnect. So I didn't like the romance. And not because it's like middle-aged people or like older people. That wasn't the issue. I think it was just very immature for how old they were. I just was like, aren't you 60? Like, why are you being toxic like that? But I really did like the family element and the generational trauma element and stuff like that. Like, that was really good, and I was very intrigued by it to start, and I really did enjoy it overall. But I mean, it's not something that I think I would pick up again, if that helps. Yeah. All right. Time for emotional damage. I was about to curse. I try not to curse very much on here. This is the last letter by Rebecca Yarros. I rated it to infinity. I rated it 6 stars. I have shown a multitude of people the pictures of me while I was reading this and after. I think I could cry just thinking about it. I'm about to. So this follows Ella. It follows Ella. She's a single mom of twins, and her brother is in like a special ops team, and he passes away. And then his best friend comes to like check up on her, and he's kind of keeping from her that he was someone that she was a pen pal with while he was in like the force with him, or in the army. I forgot what he was. Whatever. But like they had to use call signs because it's a special ops team, so like they have to like kind of keep their anonymity for the sake of their safety. And so she has been writing letters to this person, and this person then shows up in her life to try and take care of her, but doesn't tell her this after her brother dies on a mission. I think that, anywho, Kat borrowed me this book. I will probably have to get my own copy eventually because I just love this book so much. Maybe I'll get the special edition. And this is my first Rebecca Yarros book, and I do plan on reading the Empyrean series. She's like, I'm not emotional and I cried to this book, so I know how you'll be, because I am very emotional. So love that for me. It was so good though. I really did. I rated it 6 stars. It was so good. I said it left me utterly in pieces. So if that's any no, it's not a consolation, but you know what I mean. On to the next. All right, on the complete opposite scale, after last letter, I read In Her Own League by Liz Tom Ford. this was my introduction into the Windy City universe, actually. So I haven't read the Windy City series. I do want to desperately, but I was just in love with this story and the kind of like, you know, it's about women in male sports and in male places and kind of asserting themselves and going through like misogyny and stuff in the workplace, and which that's not like the whole thing of the story, but it is definitely like an under theme and like a subplot, because it is hard to be a female in predominantly male spaces. And I really enjoyed the men around her that championed her and trusted her, when also a lot of the people like in her team were trying to undermine her authority and her opinion. So this is about Reese Remington. She's the owner of the Windy City Warriors. Is that what they're called? Can't tell. Whatever. So she ends up becoming the owner of the baseball team after her grandfather steps down, and she grew up there. Like, baseball is her thing. She knows it well, and she ends up falling for the coach of the team, which is kind of hard. It's like I wouldn't say it's like dislike to lovers, but I feel like it's kind of like they both misunderstand each other. I guess it is kind of dislike to lovers in a sense, where it's like they both misunderstand each other. They're both like not sure of the other's personality, and then they're like, when they find out who they really are, they're just like, wow, you're actually a great person, essentially. But also like these sprayed edges, this cover, like I couldn't like pass it up. You know what I mean? Like, it was gorgeous. She is beauty, she is grace. So I rated that. I realized I didn't even say what I rated it. I rated it a 4.25, or did I say what I rated it a 4.25? Whatever, we'll figure it out. But I really did, like, it made me want to read the rest of the Windy City series. I love the found family that we saw in this, let alone like us like going back in time and like watching the found family create itself. And I also like that this is like an older woman. She's also a curvier woman. She's not someone who's like, you know, and not to say that, but I think also as like a mid-sized person, I like seeing people who look like me as the leads in books, because it makes me feel a little less alone and like I deserve a love story too. Do you know what I mean? Inclusivity. And I've already borrowed this to someone as well, so if that says anything. Okay, in my second to last book for March, I read And Now Back to You by B.K. Borison. I loved this book. It was a 5-star. It was a 5-star. I ate it up like with haste. Like, I was reading it so quickly. I loved the banter. I loved the connection. I also loved like Delilah's story of like overcoming misogyny and just like weird behavior in the workplace. I also like the little tidbits, which I didn't know in the audiobook. Maybe like they actually make it sound like they're on like the radio or on TV. So maybe I will have to go back and look at the audiobook eventually. But I really did love this one. I was more attracted to this book from the plot or from the synopsis than First Time Caller, but because of reading this and loving the writing style, I do want to go back and read that as well. Delilah's story is also like a mid-sized brunette girl, and I'm like, hey, stand up. Anywho, I love Delilah. She's a ray of sunshine. I love like the grumpy, soft for her complex, and like aren't they just a beautiful couple? Aren't they just gorgeous? Anywho, I love this book, and I said it was so addicting and it made you so immersed in the characters, and it really was just so good. Like, I simply have nothing else to say, because it was just like, I didn't want to put it down once I picked it up. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's one of those books where you're like sad when it's over. And this was definitely one of those books for me. So I started March off with a poetry book, and I ended it with a poetry book. I thrifted this book from, I think, a Goodwill. It's Where Do Things Go by Marcy Haydish, I think is how you say it. I really enjoyed the imagery and the writing style. I mean, I did not relate to all of it, but I feel like that's part of the interpretation of like art and how you perceive things on your own. But there were things that I definitely like understood, and like I said, the imagery was really good. The way that she painted a picture was really good. I rated it a 3.5 stars. I probably will just keep it on my shelf, because it's a fun like little read. I think poetry is a good way to keep you going and keep your brain thinking without having to commit to like a huge novel, and it can also make you reflect in different ways. So I really did It was a really quick read to end the year, and I know that I could finish it in a day. And that's kind of why I did it, because I think I was at, I don't even know how many books I was at. I was at a lot. And I was like, what's one more? What's one more? You know? So, yeah. You guys, now we're on to April. We made it to April. After the marathon, that was reading in March. So there's only like 6 books here. I did read 2 on my Kindle though. So in total, I read 8 books, I believe, in March. So let's get into it. Hi, me from August here. I'm still editing this video because it's too much footage for me not to. And I mean April, not March. So sorry. My brain, you can see my brain slowly leave throughout this video. Okay, first I started with Endgame by Willa Gray on my Kindle. It is on Kindle Unlimited. It is a hockey romance, and I rated it, what did I rate it? A 4-star? And I didn't put anything else, so I think it was like a solid 4-star for me anyway, and I legitimately could not put this down. I think I did stay up until like 1 in the morning. I don't know. I stayed up pretty late reading this book. I like how there's not a specific, I think I finished it on April 1st is when I finished it. So I started on March 31st, and then I read it all the way into April 1st, and I finished it in like 1 day. It follows a nurse. She moves to Minnesota to kind of, you know, start over after having like a traumatic past in her hometown and stuff like that. And she ends up having like, or gaining attraction to a hockey player, and he's like an older hockey player. So he's like towards the end of his career. They're both kind of like, I don't know, is this an age gap romance? I think it is. I think she's like in her 20s and he's in his 30s, if I'm not mistaken. About this book, let me look. So, okay, so she ends up like hooking up with a hockey player, and then she realizes that he's a hockey player, and she's like, oh no, they're all F-boys, like why did I do that? But they end up like crafting a relationship, and I thought it was so sweet how he took care of her, how he just stepped up for her in a way that she probably so desperately kind of not needed, but I think in a way it helped her see the good in people and the good in men again, and the way that they like allowing other people to take care of you and not having to go on autopilot all the time. So I definitely did like that aspect of their relationship. And once again, it was just like a really easy read. I picked it up and I couldn't put it down, and there was nuance and layers to all of the characters that made them the way that they were, and I think that was so important to the story because you were end up connected to them and not just kind of like, you know? And then I think after reading a bunch of like romances and stuff like that, I did want to go into a literary fiction. I ruined the dust jacket on this one. I think I talked about it in a vlog at one point. But this is Bright Burning Things by Lisa Harding. I rated this a 4.75. I really did like this book. It was about a mother who struggles with alcoholism and is trying to maintain custody of her son and their dog. It was so nuanced because it was from the mother's perspective, and so you could kind of see her selfish way of thinking and her warped mentality. I think there's also like a underlying mental illness there, and kind of like how that feeds into addiction, and learning things about yourself and acknowledging them and facing your demons in order to truly like change your life and choose better. So I think like, you know, that it was very interesting to see, because at first you were like, what in the world? Like, why would she think like this? Why would she be like this? Because she was a promising actress once. She was a promising stage actress, and then she ends up pregnant, and then the father leaves, and so it's just her and her son, and she loves her son, but I think she's stuck in this glorified version of herself that just doesn't mesh well with being a mother. And I think seeing that is kind of so important because it's something that we don't see often, if that makes sense. Like, it's not something that's talked about. And it was very hard to put down. I really did also like the audiobook because it takes place in Ireland, so listening to it in the audiobook helped me feel kind of immersed in it at times and almost hearing it from a different voice. But I did rate it 4.75. It was really good, and it was such a I think I only read it in 2 days, and it was kind of a nice way to break things up, because I do love literary fiction, but I do also love romance, and So sometimes it's like hard for me to choose which way to go on that front, but yeah, I really enjoyed this. And then after that, I read my first Chelsea Curto book, which was In the Dark, because I read the back of this and I was like, what? Huh? Like, this is so outlandish. So it follows Maxine. She hates being scared, but her best friend is like a performer at an aerial like stunt show at a theme park for Halloween. And so she ends up going through this haunted house and she ends up like meeting this scare actor because she gets lost. And she's immediately like drawn to him. Like, he's so handsome and manly and whatever. And so he ends up becoming like obsessed with her. This is dual POV. He ends up becoming obsessed with her. And like, he ends up starting to like keep tabs on her, and you're like, oh, okay. Yeah, kind of like, I mean, like, I always love a good, like, obsessed with you mailman character. Maybe not in real life, because I have had that, and that's scary. But reading it fictionally, I'm like, wow, like, this is nice. Like, I like that, like, he is so into her. And then you end up figuring out that he's a serial killer, which, in all fairness, he is like a good serial killer, right? Yeah, it says at least he's a good serial killer. So I'm not like spoiling anything that's on the back. But, you know, so it's just like, it's cute, it's fun. Oh, I didn't even realize Bert fell out. Here's Bert. He was my bookmark for this book. But it was like spicy, it was fun, and I definitely like flew through it. Yeah, it only took me one day again. So I said I also find myself picking this back up and rereading it during like spooky season, because it does take place in like Halloween time. When I got it, I wanted to read it so bad that I just read it right away. But for an introduction to Chelsea Curto, it was so funny. I loved the writing style, and I thought like it was just such a good time. So I rated it a 3.75. Like, I really enjoyed it. It was really fun. Maybe like not something that I related to very much or like was vibing with the best, but still very, very good, and a very good introduction to Chelsea. Love her so bad. Okay, so this one I don't think I have anymore in my Kindle library. It was on Kindle Unlimited, and it is Fighting Chance by Mads Rafferty. I was very intrigued by the book itself, and I was very intrigued by the plot. So I said I really liked the plot and I loved the characters, and I was pretty addicted to reading it. It just felt like something was missing, and I couldn't tell what it was, and I can't quite put my finger on it, but it was just a little lackluster, and it felt like it ended super, super quickly. Like, I enjoyed it, and I would definitely read more of her stuff to see like if it's the same in other books, but it just was like, I don't know. I still enjoyed it, but it just felt like it ended really quickly, and we were thrust into it kind of quickly, and then all of a sudden, like, I was like, whoa, huh? This is the end? But I still recommend this. Like, I think if you like hockey romance with some spice, I'm sure you would like this and you would be entertained, because it was like, it's always been her kind of trope and stuff like that. So I think it was just one of those ones where like it just wasn't quite like my jam. Do you know what I mean? Like, not that it wasn't good, it just wasn't my jam. So but yeah, I really enjoyed that one, and that took me another 2 days to read. So now we're getting on to the good stuff. Sorry, lock me up. All right, you guys. So you'll see a lot of my opinions on these books in the vlog when you see it, the DC Stars vlog. So I'm just gonna say like the ratings, okay? So 5. So this is Face Off. Hold on. Face Off, 5. Power Play, 6. Slapshot, 4.5. Hat Trick, 7. And then Sin Bitten, I finished in May. I finished it on May 4th. So I don't count that in this like reading wrap up, but I will kind of count it for the sake of like finishing off the ratings. This one's Sin Bin was a 4.75. You can see it. It's like the red. Hold on. It's the red on my shelf right there. But yeah. So I read the first 4 of the DC Stars books. And I started Sinbin in April, but I did not finish it in April. I finished it in May. So I, yum, 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 yum. You know? I don't know. I don't know what else to say. It's just so good. And if you love hockey romance, I really highly recommend it. I know that Off Campus is becoming a series and The Windy City is becoming a series, but I need a DC Star series and I need it now. Preferably, can I be in it? As something. Like, actually, just make me someone's assistant. I'll be fine. You know? So, anywho, I hope you guys... I cannot with myself. Can you tell I've been filming for like an hour? Because I can. Anywho, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching and for sticking along for the ride. I'm so sorry for like not having uploads and not having content. I think I've just been like so immersed in reading. I've been having a hard time recording it. Because when I get into something, it's really hard for me to be like, oh shoot, let me pick up a camera really quick and put it in front of my face. I feel like that like makes me intimidated and I have no idea why. Hopefully I'll get through that eventually. But I will be going on vacation soon and I'll probably post like a reading vlog for vacation and a writing vlog, because if you guys don't know, I am writing the first draft of my first romance novel, or like rom-com novel. So I probably will be writing a lot on my trip. So maybe I'll do a little writing vlog, because maybe let you in on like my thought processes without spoiling anything, hopefully. But yeah, so let me know what's on your May TBR, like what you are looking towards this month. I'm calling it Mood Reader May because I have hopefuls, but other than that, I'm kind of just like going with the flow, because I feel like sometimes as someone who tries to make content out of reading, I do love reading and reading is something that I truly enjoy, but making a TBR kind of feels like a lot of pressure sometimes to live up to it, because like what if I'm truly like, I tried to do ACOTAR April, I was simply not in the mood, so I just like I couldn't do it. But yeah, I'm calling it Mood Reader May. I'm hoping to read a few books here and there. I think I'm on book 3 this month so far, so nothing crazy. I mean, I'll probably get to 6 books this month. I'm already past my reading goal for this year, because last year I didn't read a lot at all until towards the end of the year. So I'm really, really proud of myself and how far I've gotten this year so far, and I really enjoy being here with you guys. And if anyone watches these videos, just know that I'm so appreciative and I'm so grateful and I love making them, even if I fumble my words and don't remember how to speak half the time. So anywho, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you're interested. Don't feel pressured, but I will definitely see you in the next one, and I love you. Bye. I'm gonna put all the books back. These stay over here because there's one more. No cats. There and there and there. There's more room on these shelves, guys.